All right, guys, in today's video, I'm joined by someone who I've wanted to speak to for quite some time. It's Dolores Cahil, and her science background, her degree is in molecular genetics, and her PhD is in immunology. Dolores, welcome to the show, first of all. How are you?
Thank you, Dave. I'm a big fan. I ran a class 3 biosafety lab. So a class 2, class 3 biosafety lab, because meningitis is an infectious agent. And I've worked in a class 4 lab, and I also know the regulations, and we were involved in setting up a lab in my company. And the reason why that's significant is that the regulations are very onerous if you're going to do research in obviously a biosafety lab. So there's not that many people that would have expertise. And if there's issues around whether this virus came out of the class 4 safety lab in China, I would be very aware of the regulations and the procedures that work. And the last thing just to say is that in that lab 20 years ago when I ran it, when we went on the course to license it, we were told that we were individually, personally liable for up to 500,000 Deutschmarks at the time. So it was quite a lot. That would be 250,000 now, but per person that would die in the lab, even if we hadn't done anything wrong. And if you were involved in releasing something that was maybe killing people, you would be personally responsible and you would be prosecuted. So it's just when you go on those courses. So I worked in that lab for about 3 years, and then because the professor who ran it left, I was in charge of that lab dealing with the regulators. So there's not that many people that would have that kind of experience. So.
Right. Well, the overwhelming thing that I'm getting from you is that your career has been steeped in data integrity, in transparency, and in trying to the best of ability to engage in good, high quality science. And from that perspective, from what we've seen and the data that the new reports and new studies that come out of the likes of Santa Clara County on this virus, and also LA County, and also so many scientists coming forward. I've covered many of them. We've had the likes of Knut Witkowski, Dr. Sukrit Bhakti, Dr. Wolfgang Wodarg, Johnny Vanitas, and countless others, Dr. Buttar, and more recently a woman who's been heavily censored now, which is Judy Mitkowski. At what point, Dolores, did a bell go off or something, and then you realized there's something smells bad about this situation. Something's not quite right. That this is not how science is done. What tipped you off that this is something to look into to verify the data?
So I suppose I would have been aware of this in early February. So because I would be networked with a lot of people who were involved in safe vaccines and safe adjuvants, and people who had previously worked with SARS and other viruses. And I have been working with a doctor who is advising the White House, particularly on protocols for prevention and treatment, such as hydroxychloroquine. So I had met him in America, and he was texting me from February about the issues of this virus and also around hydroxychloroquine in around mid-February. Right. So now I would have, it's been very frustrating for me to not, come out and give this kind of interview previously. But I think what I would have been saying in my network in February, March, and April was entirely opposite to what was going on in the media at that time. There's two major things I want to say to people is that, first of all, there should be a lot of hope that this virus is not as dangerous as it has been shown to be. And also there's major issues like the media are reporting the number of cases when actually someone who has had the virus, like me, I had this virus in January and February, your immune system clears it after 10 days, and then you are immune for life. So you're not a case, you are immune for life. Yeah, and so that is a very important, because the way it's been done in the media is as if a case is something dangerous. So if you're immune for life, you should be able to function in the world. And then the second thing is we can see that in Ireland, as in globally, half of the people who die are over 80. And that we'll say children and anyone under 50, unless they have chronic conditions like cystic fibrosis, they will have no issue. So what I am saying is there is no need for the lockdown, and that we could all actually go back to work. I can mention later on how to prepare in the week before we have the lockdown. But I am addressing and calling to the Minister for Health or the Taoiseach, or I am happy to discuss with anyone from the agencies that the lockdown in Ireland is unnecessary. We should open the country within the next week or 10 days. And I would be happy to take responsibility for those decisions and to be held to account.